Hello, my stitching friends. My name is Amanda May, and I'm here today to discuss Sulky and counted cross stitch. What is Sulky, you say? Well, it is this awesome 12 weight cotton thread that has revolutionized the way that I have been stitching and using it for a counted cross stitch and drawn thread. In this video tutorial, we're going to be discussing some of the things that you need to get started on a counted cross stitch project and the beginning supplies that you need. Number one, you need some thread. I began my Sulky journey by buying the very first Blendables, the best blendable pack, and it came with 6 colors. It was surprisingly affordable, and I was blown away by the quality and ease of using the product. In my little project bag here, I'm going to show you some of the essentials that you need to complete a project. These are really big right now in the cross stitch community, the vinyl front bags where you can put your supplies. So in here I have my very first chart that I created using Sulky threads. Here is my finished piece. Oh! Counted cross stitch, and I used the 12 weight thread, and they come like this. What is awesome about these is that one strand equals 2 typical strands of regular embroidery floss. So what does that mean? That means all I have to do is unwind a manageable length of thread. I like to use the elbow rule. So I like to pull it out the spool, find there, and cut. And by cutting, that means you need some scissors. So your thread, your scissors, maybe a project bag, but any type of bag works. Whatever you're comfortable with in storing your supplies where they won't get damaged. Whether that's dust or fingers, you know, little sticky fingers. Something that's safe for you. What's really awesome about the thread here is that, say I don't need this, I use some, but I don't need all of it. I can wind it up on the spool here. And snap it closed and use this later. I'm gonna put this in my project bag. I also, for traveling and a mother of young kids, I'm using just a little travel tin to hold, you guessed it, scissors. These are embroidery scissors. Anything sharp to use to cut your thread. Some people love to just get the inexpensive school scissors with the rounded edge so that they don't pierce or puncture their projects. Whatever you need to do to be comfortable, but I do recommend having scissors. The next thing to think about are needles. Now, there are a lot of different needles out on the market. What you're gonna wanna have, though, is a tapestry needle. And did you know that there's different size needles for different projects and thread counts of fabric? I know, right? I'm gonna show you some different types of fabric in a little bit, but for now, we're gonna talk about needles. You're gonna wanna get tapestry needles. What that means is that the bottom, the end is rounded. That way, when you're stitching, whether it's in hand, meaning you're stitching it without a hoop, or with a hoop, regardless of size, depending on your project, you can use whatever hoop you want or stitching in hand. You don't want to prick your fingers. You don't want to hurt yourself, right? So you want a tapestry needle. Remember, not all needles are created equal. Here we've got tapestry needles. So a size 24 needle would be perfect for a 14 count Aida fabric or 28 count even weave or linen. They come in different sizes and in different packaging. You can find these at Sulky of America or at your local needlework shop. It's nice to test the different size needles. Here's a size 28, and this is a petite needle, meaning it's shorter. So if you're stitching in hand, it's easier to hold the needle. You're not passing through a greater length. Size 28 needle. Now, as the numbers go up, the size of the needle, the diameter, circumference of the needle goes down. So a bigger size needle would be a 24, or here's 24 in another brand. And then really big, say bigger than a 24, say if you want to stitch on an 11 count fabric, you would want a larger size needle. Here that would be stitching, say, with 2 strands of Sulky, which would be the equivalent of 4 strands of embroidery floss. Things to consider. Now, there's also chenille needles. What does that mean? Well, chenille needles are great for hand sewing. Now, cross stitch is different. Chenilles will poke your fingers and it will hurt, so no chenille needles. Similarly, some patterns for counted cross stitch will have beadwork or embellishments, so you will need a separate beading needle. And what do you do with beading needles? Beading needles and the invisible Sulky thread. This is a game changer for putting embellishments on your finished product, because you literally cannot see it because it's transparent. Here is a counted cross stitch project, and I finished it with the Sulky transparent thread. Can you see on those pretzels, can you see that stitch work? No, you can't see where it was affixed. Thank you, Sulky of America. All right, if you have in your travel bag your needle, your scissors, your fabric, your thread, and you're ready to go. Now, you can always grab something like a needle minder that can help hold your needles, but we can talk about that later. There's some extra stuff to have. If say you're at home and you want to stitch, I have, and this is fun, I have a little thing that I have customized for myself. This is a cosmetics makeup holder, but I'm using it as my little stitching organizer. Here I have a makeshift Ort container. What is an Ort container? Well, it's something to hold my leftover threads that I have clipped off from projects. Some stitchers save these to see how much thread they've used in an entire year or month or for a project. Some people even add them to ornaments as a sense of accomplishment, you know. This is how much I stitched, and here's the remnant thread to prove it. I also have some fragrance-free lotion for my hands to get started. I have sewing clips because sewing in hand, or stitching in hand, stitching in hand, I love to be able to kind of work the fabric down. Lip gloss because, well, hello. Scissors, a pen, and a highlighter to mark my pattern. These are just some of the little things to get started with. A good needle, some fun scissors. They don't have to be fun. Utilitarian is just fine. But I will say that the #1 rule of cross stitch is to have fun.